Hello everyone, Stu Lee's here, live for the first time in a little while on this channel, which is my own. And I am super stoked to have my good friend from many years ago, the author of this book, which I read a lot, put it into the camera, Linkability, and global, she doesn't like me saying this, but global expert on LinkedIn, Lynnaire Johnston. How are you?
Well, thank you, and greetings from the South Island in New Zealand. Stu, nice to be here. Thank you.
And so we've invited quite an audience from all over the world today, Lynnaire. So I would like to invite people to say hi in the comments. Hopefully LinkedIn and StreamYard, which is what I'm managing this for, will show me the comments. And if it doesn't, I'm sorry, I'll reply later. And I'm sure Lynnaire and her team will be looking at it as well. But today we want to talk about LinkedIn success. We want to dive into LinkedIn strategy. We only have 30 minutes. So it's going to be a short and sweet session. So I'm going to move things along pretty quickly. And to set the scene, a huge amount has happened in the last sort of 12 months around the world. In social media in particular, you've had the rise of TikTok, then you've got the TikTok maybe banned sort of stuff going on. You've got Instagram, YouTube, Facebook really hitting that kind of we are now mass media, we're full of ads, we don't really care about the creators as much as we used to create, so they, it's a lot harder to work with. And then there's this little thing called LinkedIn. And Lynnaire and I have been on LinkedIn, it seems like forever. And it has changed a heck of a lot. And I thought now's a great time to get online with a specialist expert and ask the question, look, if I haven't looked at my LinkedIn strategy for a while, if I don't, if I've just been kind of toiling along, doing it, like posting images of the reception desk in my office and maybe, posting the thoughtful comments around things, what should we be doing on LinkedIn to really succeed in 2024 going into 2025? What should we be thinking about doing, and what should we think about not doing anymore?
Well, I think one of the things that we should think about not doing quite so much, Stu, is content. Now, this goes against everything I have always believed about LinkedIn since I fell in love with it, because content has always been our way to become visible and build our credibility and get out there and be seen. And so you and I have both developed our thought leadership reputation on LinkedIn via content. Well, the problem with that is that the algorithm plus AI has this year meant that the results of our content, of our creativity and using all those wonderful content features is less and less useful to us, because we are being seen by fewer people. And it's really a very good question about whether we're even being seen by the right people. So the algorithm early in the year absolutely slashed organic views. And while, yes, that is a vanity metric, which is not to be relied on, and engagement is way more important, still a lot of people view their success with their posts via their organic views. And if they're not getting them, well, then their view is that they're not succeeding on LinkedIn. So with that in mind, I think it's really important to be thinking about other strategies, different ways that we can get that visibility back again. And you know me, Stu, I always like to color outside the lines. I think outside the box and try to find different sorts of ways. So I've got a couple of strategies that I'd like to share, if I may, about what I think we can be doing so that we can still be seen by people. And the first is to really get involved in some of the new things that are going on. So I don't mean AI, because I'm really not a fan of LinkedIn's AI. I think it will get better, but I'm not a fan for now. But what we are seeing, first of all, is more video. And I know you want to talk about that in a bit more detail. So I think we need to be getting on board with more video. And I think we need to be getting on board with events like you and I. Here we are again. I do audio events and LinkedIn Lives. I alternate those. I tend to do one a week. And that is a really good way to reach an entirely new audience that does not rely on the feed. Because the other problem with the feed and on the back of the algorithm is that the feed is becoming dominated by a lot of AI generated content. And that means there is less room for yours and my content, and it's much more competitive. Add that onto the fact that there are now more than 1 billion, allegedly, users on LinkedIn, and it becomes really squeezed. Your chances of being seen are much reduced. So how do you get seen? Well, my answer to that is that you use your network. Now, when was the last time, and this is a question for you, it's not rhetorical, this is a question for you. When was the last time you sent a video as a DM to somebody in your network that wasn't about setting up an event, that was about something that you were doing or some content that you had created that you wanted them to know about? When was the last time you did that? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Annoyingly, last night.
Well, that is annoying. I should have
Right.
really asked you beforehand, shouldn't I?
And I'll tell you the context. I'll tell you the context, and I'll tell you why I agree in the principle. We did a competition, which was to do with Atlassian for the company that I run the marketing for. We created a demo video, and to get some noise on the demo video, I went into Slack and I DM'd everyone I knew the demo video, right? And it was on LinkedIn, of course. And that, my principle, and I'd love for you to talk further on it with the breadth of knowledge you've got. My principle was simple. If I can get a bunch of people to engage on this early, it might help me move the algorithm to expose it to more humans.
That is less true than it used to be, unfortunately. Yes, you still need engagement, absolutely. And engagement rates are really important, because I think that's where the gold is. It's not in the organic views, that vanity metric, right? It's in the conversations that you can have with people who are engaging on your content. Now, flip that around for a minute and think about how much visibility you would get if you are then commenting on other people's posts. And I had a conversation earlier in the week with the LinkedIn guru, Jeff Young, in the United States, who's been doing this a long time. And he now says that he believes that the ratio of posts to comments should not be 1 in 10, one post for 10 comments. It should be 1 in 50. Now, he has significantly reduced the amount of content he is putting on LinkedIn, not putting up nearly as much in the way of articles and newsletters and posts, etc. He's only doing it once a week, but he is on the platform every day, commenting. Now, I think that is a really good strategy to adopt. So on top of sending people videos in the DMs, I think that commenting on people's posts, the people that you want to be connected with, the people you want to develop a relationship with, then that is a really good strategy to be adopting as well. We only have so many hours in all our days, Stu, right? So you have to use them effectively when you are on LinkedIn. So
I think that's
sending messages to DMs, and also using that particular strategy of commenting. And look, I'm not talking about great post comments. I'm talking about useful, valuable conversation starter comments on LinkedIn, right? Because I think that's where the gold is.
Well, I think this is going to be music to the ears of the semi-introverted people out there who hate posting about themselves anyway.
Yes.
And I think there's another. So I think this is great news. So thank you, Lynnaire and Jeff. You mentioned competition before. You mentioned AI we're now competing against AI created content. Whether or not a human decided to put that against their profile, or LinkedIn itself is just making content for the sake of making content, right? There's another competition thing that I've seen pop up. There's actually two. I'm going to bring them both up, which I think we should all be a little bit worried about, right? Number one, which has been happening for a long time, is people who are really good at TikTok jumping into LinkedIn. And we might all sort of look down upon them and smile and go, they don't understand LinkedIn. They don't necessarily get the tone and the messaging right. Sure, I get that. But they have the video skills to kick our butts in content. And when some of them do learn the tone, when some of them do understand the messaging that works, their ability to create the content is going to far out pace, most of us, right? That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the world of media, old school media, advertising, TV, radio, sadly, has had another shift change in the last 6 months with a lot of global companies shutting down, New Zealand domestic companies shutting down mass layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of those people are incredibly good producers. They're incredibly good on camera. They're incredibly good speakers. And guess what? They're arriving on LinkedIn promoting themselves. And so now we're competing against pros who are great on video, who have got all of the equipment in the world, who have got access to studios through their buddies. They're creating little. I saw Dominic Harvey and his ex-wife creating a podcast video business and launching it. And I think great, amazing, right?
Yeah.
But us people filming from Dunedin and Auckland from our farms and cottages, we're now competing against them. So when you bring to the table these amazing ideas such as, look, let's perhaps just focus less on volume of content and look at some of the ways around to get the same sort of engagement, the same sort of awareness of our profiles. This is gold. All right, I'll let you go. Keep going.
All right. I think that you're right about those folks coming to LinkedIn. And when I did a scroll through the video tab on the app just before we came on this morning, and I did not see one of my friends. Now, I know a lot of my friends are doing video. Not one of them showed up in that feed. I must have looked at 50 videos. Now, what I did see were a whole load of overproduced, really TikTok style videos. They came from, I'm sure they were YouTube shorts, and they came from other platforms, none of which I want to see. I want to see the people that I know and the people who are talking about the topics that I want to know about when I go into my feed. So I think that there is still a role for the people like you and I, Stu, not only because we're producing content that our audience expects, but because we are not overproduced. You and I come from a broadcasting background, right? But I've done no TV work. And so consequently, what you see is the authentic me. All right, I might not wear a jacket most of the time, but when you see me on a live like this or hear me on an audio event, you are hearing the actual me. Now, that means there's no AI involved. There's no all that beautiful background of having the TV experience and the high-level media experience. You are getting somebody who knows about a particular topic in some depth. Now, that level of authenticity, I think, is at risk in a way through AI. But at the moment, that is how we stand out. We can stand out in the stream of highly produced content just by being ourselves. And as you say, doing a LinkedIn live from your farm and my house in Dunedin, and I just think that that's really important, because people who want to work with us, and that's what we're here for, right, is to build our businesses. People who want to work with us want to get to know the real us. They want that authenticity. So I think that it's great that people like that are rebranding, repurposing, pivoting into new careers. And I'm very pleased to see it. And there will be a market for what they are offering. But I don't feel particularly concerned about them encroaching on my area or yours, because we've been doing this some time, right? And, those people they've got some way to go to be able to do professional level LinkedIn lives. You and I both know there's more involved than just showing up and talking. And those people have got that kind of learning curve to be able to go through before they get to it. Now, another strategy on LinkedIn that I think we ought to all be awake for 25 is events. So here we are. You and I do events regularly. And I think the more people who do events, the better, because they'll become better known. Now, it's a lot easier to do audio events than do a LinkedIn Live, of course, but I do think that more people are understanding how to do them and are getting on board with them. And someone I had on as a guest on my audio event just a couple of weeks ago about cybersecurity, yesterday did her first audio event herself and did a great job. It is really easy. And so that is, I think, a great way to get more visibility into 2025, is to start looking at events, talking about your subject area, your topic, your area of expertise.
Nice. I think events is something that, I mean, you know me, Lynnaire, but for those of you who are watching, I am a big fan of events for B2B marketing, for any marketing where there's businesses who are making an informed decision about the quality and of your wisdom, the magnitude of how good are these people, right? So they get a free way to taste how good you are, whether or not you're a scary person, whether or not you align with their values, whether or not you align with their style. So events are really powerful for that. But I think people get that. I think people do webinars, people do lives, they do audio events, but I think there's something that a lot of people don't do, which we've been doing this year, and we at Revise, the company I work for, which has been incredibly successful, and I'm going to share the secrets. So every webinar that we do, which is 1 hour worth of recording, it's probably about half a day to a day worth of actual work, getting that webinar together, getting the speakers, getting the content, getting the run sheets, pulling it all together professionally, right?
Yeah.
For every webinar we do, we get about 25 pieces of content, right? Minimum. We get, and when I say content, I mean excuses and reasons for our brand to be seen on a platform, right? And that platform there's multiple platforms that we're putting it on. So number one is we're emailing a bunch of people. So it's not a spam email, it's an invite. Those emails typically get around 60% open rates, right? So our email marketing is succeeding because we're inviting people to webinars. Number two, the webinar itself, that's another piece of beautiful content. You've got people there, they're engaging, they're with you. Number three, of course, we can slice it into videos, and we're doing that, and we're creating YouTube shorts, we're creating Instagram reels, we're creating shorts that go onto LinkedIn, so that hopefully we appear in that video panel that you're talking about, Lynnaire, which I think is something that we really need to think about. Number three, we take screenshots of the videos and we put quotes from the videos of the speaker. So we get static image posts from the videos as well. We typically get 3 to 5 from every 1 hour of video, right? Then we take all of those pieces of content and then we put them into a blog article, right? And we can take the transcript of the blog article and we can take notable quotes out of that transcript and put them into our blog article, and then we put that on our blog site, and then we put it into, guess what, our next email. So we loop around in this beautiful circle, and we have found that strategy extremely successful. Just like any sort of time investment and money investment, it's compounding, right? It takes the first couple of webinars that you do. If you go down this track, you're probably going to have a couple of people show up if you're lucky, right? But don't give up, because you've got those potentially 25 pieces of content that you can create from doing that one thing. And then as you keep doing them, you'll find, that you will, as long as the topic that you're talking about is something that people want to learn about, then it is a great tactic. All right. What do you want to go on to next?
Can I add something to that? I think another piece of content, you kind of alluded to it when you talked about your blog, but you can add articles and newsletters on LinkedIn that include video. So you could take the clips from your webinar and pop them into an article. And one of the things that we found really useful this year is collaboration. So collaboration is where people like you and I come together, we do something together, and then both our networks benefit from it, because that 25 pieces of content becomes 50 pieces of content, right? You're promoting it, I'm promoting it, you're using repurposing content, I'm repurposing content from it as well. So what we tend to do too is we'll take clips and we'll put them on our YouTube channel. We might put them on, share them with our Linkability members group, for example. We will use it in different ways as well. And I think that the fact you can take clips now and put them into newsletters newsletters and articles on LinkedIn is genius, because it just gives you that extra lift, that visibility that we are all looking for. And it comes back to that being highly produced. The more effective they are will depend, or how effective they are will depend on what you add in. Whether you add in those static quote images, which is genius too, whether you add in quotes and clips and content from your event. Doing that in articles and newsletters on LinkedIn is a great idea. And we talked about this before we came on. One of the reasons it's a great idea is because articles and newsletters on LinkedIn are indexed by Google. Cue dancing girls.
Oh, I know. It's can I share an accidental piece of gold that we found this year?
Please.
We have been working really hard on our SEO strategy. It's just something that you get round to re-looking at, and we re-looked at it. And we engaged with a professional SEO company. Props to Az Digital Refinery. You guys are great. And we also did a lot of pretty scientific testing. So this type of article, this type of on our blog site, and we just kind of reposted the text as LinkedIn articles, just to see what would happen against both private profiles and against company pages. And I think there's an important thing to distinguish here, is you can put an article against your company page, but you can put an article as an individual profile. Guess what? One of the articles that we put out, which was, we had really struggled with this particular keyword phrase, got to #1 page on Google within sort of 3 to 5 days of posting it on LinkedIn. The same article from our website is like nowhere near the first page of Google. And that speaks a lot to the authority, the page, or the site authority within the Google algorithm of LinkedIn. But I think it's one of those things that people aren't really thinking about, right? It's like, LinkedIn's an afterthought. If you think about SEO, it's got to be on your website. You've got to do all of these sorts of things, right? Do all your backlinking and your interlinking and all of those sorts of things. And people forget, if you just drop it into LinkedIn, you might get lucky, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And you'll get longevity out of an article. Posts come and go, Stu, as you and I both know, but articles hang around. They have that kind of evergreen flavor to them. And here's the other thing about it that most people don't understand, is that you can change them, you can edit them, you can update them. So I, for example, have got an article on my LinkedIn profile, 77 tips, and I do it for every year. I update it every year.
Oh, wow.
And that means that every time I update it, I can do new things with it. So this year I've added images to every single one of those 77 tips. That took an hour or two. And next year I might add some video into it. And I can constantly revise that, because that is then out there with its SEO. And you can also add SEO right inside the article where you are preparing it, because LinkedIn now allows you to add in SEO. So that, but that is only a title and a description. So it's not a lot. You can't add keywords yet, unfortunately, but it does allow you to do that, which I think is a good thing. But most of us tend to forget it. We put an article or newsletter up, we forget the SEO. I'm shocking at that, but I do think that that's really, really important. But can I mention just something around that that's kind of related, and that is market value filters, which is kind of LinkedIn's internal SEO, if you like. And on your LinkedIn profile, wherever there is a drop-down menu, might be for location, it might be for role, or it might be for the degree or diploma that you have in your education section, you need to choose something that is from that drop-down menu. The reason, that will be in LinkedIn's database. And if you put in a role title that is not in the database, Chief Encouragement Officer, for example, lovely title, absolutely adore it. It will not be in LinkedIn's database. You will not be found. So make sure that you do choose from the drop-down menu anytime there is one. Always choose from that. Market value filter is what those guys are called.
And so that is for the simple explanation. When I'm saying what my job is, it's not my headline, it's my job title. Is that right?
It's your job title, yes.
So
Anywhere
job
where there
title
is
against my company that I work for.
No, well, if you're going to, you want to make sure that the company you work for is the right company that you work for, and you don't connect yourself to the wrong one. That's a common mistake I see on people's profiles. They're connected to the wrong company. So just make sure that you're connected to the right one. Usually the logo is what will help you find the right one.
All right. I wanted to talk about video. I think we should have another session in the future, Lynnaire, to talk about video. I think I'm going to challenge for you and for me. And the challenge is going to be on the next time we do one of these lives, we're going to be how to get onto the video recommendation section on LinkedIn. Right? So
Okay.
you've got a month.
Okay, that's cool.
You get a month, and we'll come back and we'll do that.
Okay. Well, no, I think that's a really good idea, because I do think that we need to know, and I've got a couple of tips on that, but which I'll keep those for next time.
Yeah,
Can I
keep them.
answer Elizabeth's question, if that's all right,
please.
about where one goes
Absolutely.
to write an article? It's really simple, Elizabeth. In the starter post box, there is a prompt that says write an article, and it should be on the right-hand side. So it should be right there and very easy for you to find, and it will open up a whole new kind of area that is completely different from what you would normally see when you when you start a post itself. So there's two sort of kinds of platforms, if you like. So somebody else wants to come back again. Stu, we must be doing something right here.
I know. And Matthew thinks that 30 minutes is enough of us.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I think he was talking about it in short and sweet, right? But thank you, Matt. Love you so much. All right, and so we have hit 27 minutes. Any final thoughts, Lynnaire?
Yes, I think that to go back to this topic that we're going to come back to about video, is that don't be overawed by that. This is where LinkedIn is going. Video is very important on our profiles now that we no longer have the profile video option that we did up until December last year. So do make sure you have a warm, friendly intro video to yourself, 30 to 60 seconds, in the featured section on your profile. If you are not all over video, and I know that it can be hard, then start, because people like the ones that Stu has been talking about earlier, is that, look at that, people who are really professional at this are coming onto the platform, and we need to make sure that we are there as well. Do not let them overpower us, overawe us. Start somewhere. If you're not comfortable with doing video, start now. I certainly wasn't. It was a big leap for me to get onto video, but now I can do it, and I'm doing it really in a way that I love to. People seem to respond to, because, as we said, it's all authentic. So authenticity through video is critical for 2025.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to thank you, and I'm going to add my final thought on video too. Two tips, one from John Maybury Jr., a great video coach. Another one from Jason Gunn. So I'll use Jason's one first. There's a reason why there's a photo of me and my mum behind me. And that's because when I feel awkward about doing a video, I put my mum behind the camera. Thank you, Jason Gunn, for this tip. And I speak to her. And so when you're doing a recording and you're not sure, just speak to a person rather than this, like the evil dark shark eye of your camera, which is a scary sort of thing. That's number one tip. Number two tip from John is just record a dozen videos with no intention of posting them. Just practice recording, get past that part of thing. That part of the has really helped me to be more comfortable with myself on video. And now I post them.
And it's practice. 10,000 hours to become an expert on anything. Persistence.
Totally. All right, we're gonna call it there, and we will come back. Thank you so much, Lynnaire. Thank you for wearing red colouring as well to cover the branding of the room that we've done these. For all of you who've joined us, thank you so much. This is a regular gig for me. Every few weeks I'll be doing another one of these, talking about marketing and business development topics on LinkedIn. It's just a little bit of a passion project for me at the moment, because I do have a day job. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for coming. This is recorded, so you can always go back and share the recording to other people. And Lynnaire, again, thank you so much, my friend. We will see you next time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. See you soon.